Well, good day, or as we would say with Louis, guten Tag. We are here today for Welcoming Week to enjoy one of our planet's most fantastic German chefs, who is going to be walking us through today an incredible dish that he's going to explain. Today, what we have for our noontime hour is a session in how to make a delicious meal that one could have in Germany or the Bavarian region specifically. We're doing Welcoming Week as a means of showing the incredible luck we have in Northeast Ohio of welcoming newcomers, immigrants, refugees, international students, and international talent to what we believe to be the most welcoming place in North America. Today, it gives me a great pleasure on Cleveland and Global Cleveland's version of Chef's Table to welcome Louis Hanika from Germany, the Bavaria region to be specific. After high school, he studied languages and philosophy, and then he began his journey as a cook. He is currently completing his apprenticeship, where he will be a master chef and waiter, Gastronomiefachmann, forgive my German, it's a little rusty these days, and working in the hotel and restaurant Schwarzer Adler in Innsbruck, Austria. He will complete his training in January 2021. And after graduation, he would like to study more international cuisine and work with people here in the United States. Can I just say Cleveland would love to have Louis here. One of his favorite meals is a classic. It is a good steak with potatoes and butter. Who doesn't love that? But today he will be cooking for us Kasspazn. He's gonna pronounce it more correctly than I did, which is a traditional Bavarian and Tyrol noodle dish. Ladies and gentlemen of Global Cleveland, please allow me to do the formal welcoming of Mr. Louis Hanika. Woo!
Yeah.
Louis, hello. It's good to be with you here today in your kitchen. Could you introduce yourself? Tell us who you are and where you're from.
Hi, nice to meet you. I'm Louis, and I'm from Germany. I was born in Middle Germany and later moved to southern Germany, to Bavaria, close to the Austrian border. And later on, after school and with university, I moved to Austria, to the capital of the Alps, Innsbruck, wonderful city. And here I started to find myself and find my love for cooking and for the cuisine, and started the apprenticeship as a chef and waiter. And today I'm just happy to be here and to cook for you and show you a simple dish which is closely familiar to the American mac and cheese, but in my opinion, more flavorful and has more character to it. And yeah, I'm just happy to be here. Thank you.
And so what will you be cooking today, and why did you choose this recipe?
Oh, I'm gonna make for you some Käsespätzle, or if you pronounce it less dialectal, it's Käsespätzle, but no one says that. It's a noodle dish made from egg noodles, and as the name says, Käse, it's Käse, cheese. So it's noodles and cheese and some caramelized onions and a lot of good flavor from the Alps and from the cheese. And yeah, my mom made it for us quite often because it's easy to prepare. You just basically need noodles and cheese and some onions and you're done. But today we'll go a little bit deeper into it and make the noodles ourselves instead of buying them, because here you kind of can buy them everywhere, in every shape, but we make them our own, and that's the best way to do it anyways.
Can you tell us a little bit about who taught you this recipe, and if you have any specific memories around one time when your mom or someone or you made it about this amazing meal that you're about to prepare for us today?
The first time I got close to that, or I experienced that meal, was with my mom. She prepared it for us and it was delicious. And later on, when I started my career in the kitchen, I got to know different insights from different chefs. And one adds a little bit of cream, the other one tells you, oh, don't put cream inside, it doesn't belong there. And yeah, so over the years I came to my own recipe, I do use a little bit of cream because it just ramps up the flavor. And I also choose to add some flavorful white wine, so everything gets that little bit of extra flavor to it. And yeah, furthermore, you need some garlic, onions, salt, pepper, and nutmeg. And that's basically already everything you need.
Louis, can you tell us if there were, are there as many ways to make this dish as there are chefs in Innsbruck and cooks in Innsbruck, Austria? Does everyone have their own kind of version of this amazing meal?
Yeah, probably, especially that you have that kind of meal in Bavaria and Swabia, and everyone has their different approach to making the noodles. And here in Innsbruck, they're rather short and thick, and in Swabia and northern part of Bavaria, they are more long and thin. So it changes regionally, and of course, like every meal, your grandma probably knows it the best, and everyone adds their little bit of extra to it. So it never tastes the same, but you always expect something rich and flavorful, and that's what makes the dish so special.
I see. So between short and thick and long and thin, there's a whole range of flavors and shapes and sizes. Is this something that in Austria or in Germany, would it be made every day? Is it made specially for a specific holiday? Or how does this work in terms of the day-to-day cuisine of the place where you are right now?
It's more like a day-to-day food, nothing really special. Because you don't make the pasta yourself, you buy a bag of it and then you just prepare the onions and the cheese. So it's nothing special except when you start to put some effort in it and make the pasta your own by yourself, and it just adds a little bit of extra. But typical nothing to eat for big holidays. There we usually go for duck or some quality meat with potatoes and kraut.
Wonderful. Do you want to begin the cooking session, and then I'll ask a few more questions as we get going?
Yeah, I would like to show you the few ingredients we need. So I've prepared my small basket here.
Beautiful basket. Look at
Yeah,
that.
some eggs, cream, butter, onions, garlic, fresh chives, and probably most importantly, some good Alpine cheese. You can go with every kind of cheese, but if you go for Swiss cheese like Emmental or some mountain cheese, they're just the best because they have the best flavor.
Did you
So,
say that that's the Emmentaler? That's the Swiss, the mountain Swiss cheese? Is that the one that you said?
yeah, Emmental,
Okay.
the Swiss cheese with the very big holes.
Okay. Now, are you going to cut the onions? Because I like to cry, so I'll get ready to start crying when you start cutting the onions.
But the trick is to use a sharp knife, so you don't need to cry if you're quick enough.
Ladies and gentlemen, one more tip from Louis, the super cook. Ah!
Good. I'm gonna change the camera just so you can see me moving around.
I kind of feel like we're in a German disco right now. Like I'm moving
yeah.
with, yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
so I just
Sabria's playing some techno. Okay.
I just gonna flip it like that, and then we start our pasta that we need.
Very clean bowls,
around
Louis. Those are very
grams.
clean. I said your area is very clean.
Yeah, it should be. First point, I'm gonna make a video, so it shouldn't make some dirty picture. But yeah, otherwise it's the best way to cook. So for the pasta, you firstly need around 200 grams of, I think, pizza flour or some flour which is not too thin. It's around 7 ounces of flour. And to which we're gonna add the eggs. But firstly, mix in a little bit of salt and some nutmeg. which you ground, or just use some nuts and grind it in yourself.
Wow.
And not drop it in there. You really don't need much of it because it's so flavorful. Then we just give it a little mix and add our eggs. So, and now it gets a little bit messy. You can use your spatula or your spoon, but the easiest way is just go in with your hand and give it a rough mix.
Louis is not yoking around, folks.
And you already see how it gets to some kind of dough. And that's also another part where every chef has their different approach. Some add a little bit of sparkling water to give it more to get it more airy. But I just like to add one more egg, so it's 3 instead of 2, and you already see.
Beautiful.
It's just some rough dough, but you don't need to make it super fine or thin or even. That's just how it should be, and that's enough of kneading around. And yeah, now we just need for the pasta to wait for the water to get to a boil. So I'll use the time and already chop my chives.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you're tuning in, we're watching Louis Hanika prepare a very amazing Bavarian dish right now.
So just some fresh chives. Chop them as fine as you can. So we'll need them later on to garnish the dish and give it that little bit of extra oniony flavor.
How do you say chive in German, Louis?
It's called Schnittlauch. It's like similar word for leek.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's just the smaller bladder of the leek, so it has a similar name. We don't need much more than that. So just put it aside and let it wait for it.
That right there is what's called mise en place. Louis is cleaning as he goes. The sign of a great chef.
And I hope you can see it's already starting to bubble a little bit. We'll add another teaspoon or so of salt, so our pasta doesn't get too boring. All right. And the special thing for making Spätzle is a so-called Spätzle sieve. Can you see it? Yeah. It's a plate with some holes, and you're gonna see how I make them. You press the dough through those little holes, and it'll create those nice pasta pieces. And yeah, the water is almost on the point where we need it to be. And you shouldn't let it boil too harshly, otherwise it does this thingy when you boil pasta that it just boils over and your whole kitchen counter is messy and destroyed with all that starch. So that's good how it is. We place the sieve on top of the pot, add our dough, and then we're gonna press it through those holes.
Wow. How many times have you made this, do you think, in your life so far, Louis?
Oh, at work we do it quite often because we use it also as a side dish for other meals. So I think it's already about 30 or 40 kilograms of Spätzle, at least.
Wow. Chef Louis is showing some great technique here. That's amazing.
You have to be a little bit quick because if you leave that sieve too long over the hot air from the pot, it gets too hot and the egg starts to clog up all those little holes and you're screwed. But that's it already.
Oh, look at that.
Then you can turn up the heat just a little bit and give it a nice stir so they're not sticking together.
That is incredible.
And as you see, it doesn't take much time, but usually as we people are, we're just too lazy to do some work for something nice. So we're gonna let them sit in the water for another minute or so and start with our caramelized onions.
And once again, Louis has taught us the way to make sure you don't cry is to have a very sharp knife when you cut onions.
Exactly. So the onion doesn't have time to make you cry.
When we were younger, Louis, my mom used to say if we held a matchstick in our mouths that it would keep the tears away, but I don't think that ever worked for me.
Like the burning one, or?
I think sometimes she wished it were burning when I was bad, but no, it was just to hold it in there in your teeth like a toothpick.
Maybe it made you breathe through your mouth or something.
That's right. That's right.
The Spätzle are cooking, so that's already enough.
The Spätzle are cooking.
So we're just gonna use some sieve or some spatula to get it out of the water. Because if you leave them too long, they'll get mushy and everything turns into some mushy dough, and you don't want that. You want your pasta al dente and still with some nice crisp texture to it. Well, not crisp, but al dente pasta texture.
Louis, for our international friends and following right now, al dente is a term, and could you explain what it means?
It's when your pasta isn't completely soft and the center is still chewable. Yeah, so for your spaghetti, it's probably 5 minutes boiling water. And yeah, it's just when your pasta is on the point, like a steak medium. It's just that nice moment, that perfect moment. Yeah, the onions, I'm still not crying.
I am. Louis, now will you compost that? What are you going to do with your leftover, the eggshells and the onion pieces? Do you put it in a compost for your garden?
Yeah, I do have not my garden, unfortunately. We have a biological waste system here in Austria. So you're gonna throw it in there if you don't have a garden. And my kitchen is quite small, so I also don't have a garden yet. So hopefully that changes one day. Sometimes I do make some vegetable soup from my leftovers, like onions and carrot peels.
Wow. It's fascinating, using all the wonderful parts of these delicious vegetables. Now, is that a recipe that I see right here that's taped to the wall?
Oh, you can see it. Yeah, there's my well, the recipe and the ingredients, and
Okay,
also the way how it's converted to ounces.
I see.
Because, yeah, so
And would you share your recipe with the viewers someday? Would you let us see it so that we could try our own our hand at this amazing meal?
if you want, I can show it to you. Unfortunately, it's in German,
Oh,
but
okay.
but I can talk you through it, and later on maybe we can post it to the website or something.
Super, super.
So yeah, until now we just had some onions, some flour, and eggs. And yeah, so those are the onions for our caramelized onions. We just need a small pan and a good bit of butter, unsalted butter in that case, because you just want some fat for extra flavor. So that's heating up. We just dump all the onions inside.
Look at that. I can smell it from here
The
across the
important thing,
oceans.
yeah. That's like onions and bacon. And if you add it to any meal, it just gets better.
Yes. Some people say that's like having conversations with me. It just gets better the more you talk to me, Louis. But that's neither here nor there, as we say. Now, Louis, do you prefer an electric oven or a gas oven?
Oh, I used to prefer gas ovens because they're just I don't know, wonderful. You add up the heat and it's just there instantly. But I had some experience at work that our gas oven exploded on me and I burned my lower arm. So since then, I'm more a fan of induction and electric ovens.
Well, we're happy you're okay.
Yeah, it was quite scary. And the mechanic who checked it afterwards said we should be lucky that it didn't blow up the whole house. But
Wow.
yeah, as you say, shit happens and everything turned well.
Yes.
So those caramelized onions just need to stay there on medium low heat so they don't burn, but just get to meet the butter and turn into some soft, sweet onion paste. And while we wait there, we continue with our so-called sauce, for which we need yet another onion and 2 or 3 cloves of garlic, the infamous cream, and a little bit of wine, which I'm already drinking.
What kind of wine is that, Louis?
It's Riesling. So you want to go for a white wine with some acidity. So it just counteracts the whole fat of the cream and the cheese and gives the whole dish a little bit of light flavor. So in that pan goes some fat and some butter. And you just turn it on low because you don't want that good butter to burn.
When I was younger, there was a show called Miami Vice, and it was between these two detectives who were on South Beach in Miami. And there was a song they used to go, "The heat is on, the heat is on," and that's basically what we have here with Louis. The heat is on in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Louis, can you tell us a little bit while you're doing this? We're curious. You're in Innsbruck right now. When did you leave Germany to go to Austria? And was there a reason? I mean, obviously it was for the cooking skills that you've picked up and just you're showing us what it's like to be a master cook. But is there anything that caused you to move? Was it a big decision? Is it a lot different from where you were to where you are now?
Well, the decision which moved me here was university. So in Germany, it's a little bit different to get a place in university, and I just didn't made it. And so I choose, okay, let's go to Austria because it's a little bit easier here. And yeah, it's not a big deal. So it's by train 1.5 hours from where I used to live.
By train, how wonderful.
But it was a very good decision. Right now, I do live in Innsbruck since 5 years almost. Yeah, it's just a beautiful place also to visit. You have the mountains around, and yeah, that whole city just animates you to go out to do something in the nature, to do some sports, or just to be active in any way.
Do you like to ski, Louis?
Oh yeah, wintertime I do like to ski. Unfortunately, that's the downside of being chef or working in restaurants is that usually you don't have much time in the winter because everyone wants to celebrate their Christmas Eves and their good pre-Christmas time in restaurants, so you have less free time. But that just makes you appreciate any moment more.
Yes.
So for our so-called sauce or our base for the pasta and cheese later is a bunch of minced onions, which we'll add into our butter and oil.
Hmm.
And together with our garlic.
You make it seem so easy, Louis, the way you cut that.
Yeah, it's a long way. Fortunately, I have a dad who used to be a chef too.
Oh.
And so I was standing in kitchen already when I was a little boy and already could hold my knife. And yeah, so starting with peeling carrots or something. But it turned out to be very helpful.
Did you know from then you wanted to be a cook?
No, at first I wanted to be everything except a cook because I didn't like the working hours, and for me it just looked so terrible. Until I started studying and had a student job in the Hard Rock Cafe here in Innsbruck. It opened, I think, 3 years back now. And yeah, I started there as a kitchen helper, so to say. And it turned out that that kind of work really made me enjoy cooking even more. And yeah, then I decided to go for the cooking instead of finishing my studies on language, and I don't regret it. You see all those nice onions with the butter getting a little bit translucent and soft. That's just how you want it. And yeah, for now, it's basically just waiting until those onions turn into some nice brown color. And yeah, then we just need the cream, the wine, and our cheese, which we can do grate into fine pieces. So I had a decision on which cheese I get, and I've decided on some Austrian mountain cheese because it's local to here and don't need much time and much energy to be transported from Switzerland or anywhere. So we do have two different kinds. One is more flavorful and the other is more subtle in flavor. So you have a nice mix of both. And for that small batch, we need around 100 grams of mountain cheese. Yeah, probably a nice thing to know, if you have some cheese which does not have the waxy outer layer, you can leave the rind on it because it's even more flavorful and does
Wow.
not harm you. Joe, do you like cheese?
Oh, I love cheese. I was just thinking about it. We have I was wondering where in Cleveland we could buy this. I know there's we have a beautiful place, Louis, when you come to Cleveland, we'll show you, called the West Side Market. And it's 108 years old. It's a public food market. The city of Cleveland runs it, and there's butcher shops and bread bakers, and it's our market, and we have the produce outside as well. It's a big Cleveland tradition. And I was thinking about places where you could buy this kind of cheese, and then I was thinking about another place in Cleveland called the Old Brooklyn Cheese Shop that's got a lot of different cheeses, and they make their own cheese, and it's just wonderful. And it's nice to see you using ingredients I think that a lot of people who are watching this right now could actually relate to, and try their own twist on it. It's very interesting.
Yeah, that's the nice thing, actually. So you're not bound to one kind of cheese. It's just up to you what kind of flavor you like. And if you're more of a spicy person, you probably would go for Swiss Gruyere or Emmental. But also people who are less keen on strong flavors, you probably could go with some mild cheddar or Gouda.
Now, will you be making this like at some point in the next few days at work? Is this something that will happen pretty frequently?
If I was in kitchen, probably yes. But right now I'm at that point of my
I see.
apprenticeship where I'm in the service, so I'm being talking more with the guests and tell them what wine would fit perfectly to the different dishes. And yeah,
that must be an interesting part of your job, to talk about pairing wines and beers and different things with the food that you're serving. What would you pair with this if you were drinking wine or beer, and what would you pair if you weren't?
So if you're drinking alcohol, I would go for the wine you use for your sauce. So in my case, I go with the Riesling. But any other flavorful white wine would do well, like Chardonnay, for example. But probably most commonly you would drink a beer with it. So just go for your local brand, which you enjoy the most. And you probably in Ohio you can get the beer from Hofbräuhaus, the Munich beer, some lager, which isn't too boring, because all that cheese brings a lot of flavor, and you want to go flavorful with your drink too.
How is it now, Louis? Is Oktoberfest still going on, or how has the global pandemic affected the festivities that usually happen around this time of year in Germany and Austria?
That means you don't have Oktoberfest or Volksfeste in general. They're not doing them. Some cities decided on putting those different shops like balloon shooting or all those little huts around the cities, but it's just not the same feeling as going to the big festivities.
Right.
Yeah, that's a little sad, to be honest.
Yeah, we're all going through it. It's one thing we share as a planet, right? That we're all in the middle of something that we weren't expecting, but we have to get through together.
Oh yeah. You still can hang out nicely at home or enjoy the calm time you might get. All right. So we see now that the onions in the big pan are getting lightly brownish. So we just use a little bit of our white wine to deglaze it.
Ooh. That sounds amazing.
And if you were here, you would smell it. It's just fantastic. Then we just reduce the heat a little bit and add just a few spoons of cream. And then it goes to seasoning it. Again, not very much, just some salt, a little bit of pepper. And if you would like, you can add some nutmeg again, but I'll just go for the salt and pepper to keep it just easy and simple, but that's the best usually. What you want to do is to reduce that onion, wine, and cream mix again, so there's almost no liquid left, because as I said in the beginning, chefs don't like to add the cream because it's not cream noodles, it's Käse noodles or cheese noodles. So if you reduce the liquid again, you just have that nice flavor of the cream, but you don't actually have the creamy part of the cream.
Mm-hmm.
The caramelized onions turn nice and brown, just how we want it to be. What you can do with the caramelized onions, just add a pinch of sugar if you want to have it more caramelized or if you want to speed things up. But basically, you don't really need it, just the butter and the onions, and it turns out very, very well. So, and that's basically already it. You just need to wait a moment until it's reduced. Then we have our awesome cheese and our awesome homemade Spätzle, which we have here. And
Beautiful.
then it's just the thing about combining everything. And they taste awesome. Again, just give it a taste while you're cooking it. So you know if you need some more salt or some more pepper, or if you added too much, but then it's too late anyways. All right, you see.
Does your plates just smell amazing right now?
Oh yeah. When my roommate, my flatmate is coming back, he's probably thinking, "Oh my God, I want something from it." So you can see how thick it got. So
Oh yeah.
we'll add our Spätzle and just incorporate them nicely with all that onion and creamy goodness. And let the pasta heat up a little bit. And you can just crank up the heat for the end a little bit, so all excess moisture It evaporates a little bit. And as soon as it gets nice and steamy, just take it off the heat and add your cheese. Yeah, that's the important part, not to add the cheese on top of the stove. Otherwise, it can happen that it either burns to your pan or separates into the fat from the cheese. And we don't want that to happen. And we use all that leftover heat from the pan and from the pasta itself to melt the cheese.
And you said that you would pair this with duck or with any kind of meat or other dish as well?
If you make Käsespätzle, it's basically a dish on itself.
Got
But
you.
if you don't add the cheese, you can use them together with some meat, or what's also awesome is if you make some gorgonzola sauce for it. Yeah.
What kind of sauce did you say, Louis?
Some gorgonzola sauce.
Okay.
That French blue cheese. Yeah, so it already looks really good. Not too cheesy, so it's still a light dish, kinda. Yeah. Our onions also look awesome. And then it's just about plating.
Wow.
Our chives from the beginning, some nice plate. And you can see the cheese string. So yeah, that amount would, depending on how hungry you are, is enough for 3 to 4 people, I'd say. Then just add some of your caramelized onions on top. And use some chives for garnish.
Beautiful.
And we're already done.
Wow. From scratch, from start to finish, from shaving the nutmeg to shredding the cheese to making the noodles, Louis, you have given us such an incredible dish today. And as somebody who was born in Germany and living in Austria, thank you for this gift. Is there anything you want to share with us, our international brother from another mother?
Just be kind to each other, and there's nothing more to say. And enjoy your nice food. I don't know if
Louis,
you can see it properly. Yeah,
we can see it. I am trying to put my fork into the screen right now, Louis. It looks so amazing.
I'm gonna do that for you.
I mean,
and
right there, huh?
It's just awesome.
Okay, and can you show us the wine one more time, the bottle of wine that you had?
Yeah, some Austrian wine. It's a Riesling from 2019, so it's still very young and flavorful. And yeah, cheers.
Cheers to you, Louis, and thank you for being part of our Global Cleveland chefs and cooks around the world presenting this amazing meal. Louis, we are so grateful. And when you graduate next year, we will embrace you with open arms in Cleveland. And we will really get a chance to meet you in person. But on behalf of everyone watching, thank you for your artistry. Thank you for your humanity. We are so grateful to you. Dankeschön.
Gern geschehen. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Louis.